Hello everyone, my name is Anton and today I want to get into the plugin Kanban. So let's take a look at how we can do Kanban on Obsidian using one of the best community plugins for Kanban that's out there. And let's go ahead and install it. We'll go ahead to community plugins in our settings area. We'll browse, we'll type in Kan, and first in the list here is this Kanban plugin. So this one here is by MG Myers, or Matthew Myers, I think it is, if I remember correctly. So let's go ahead and install it. Then we'll enable it. And once it's enabled, let's go ahead to the options that we get for Kanban here in this plugin. Now in here we can see some of the notable ones. I won't go through each of them, but the new line trigger is set to shift enter. This is something you're going to need to know. So in order to create a new line when you're in your card, you're going to want to set one of these here. They give you two options. So shift plus enter is the default. You can do enter as well. The key to note here is that the opposite of what you choose will create and complete editing of cards and lanes. So one will do the new line. So as you're typing in there and you want to go ahead and insert a new line, you do shift enter if this is how you have it set. But once you're complete with that card and you're done editing it, you hit enter to actually kind of take the view off that card and complete it. Okay, so they have some options in here for prepend to pin new cards. We can add an actual note template. Now you can also create notes from your Kanban cards. We'll go into that. And this here setting will give a default location for that, or for those. You can come in and change the lane width, the maximum number of archived cards, display card checkbox, hide tags in the title. You can hide the card display tags that you may have in your card. And then they have the board header buttons. We'll see those. And you can turn these on and off, the different ones that they have here. You can also go ahead and add in easy dates. So you have date trigger, time triggers, and you can use the default trigger for those, which is the @ symbol here, or the double @ symbol. You can change the format of those dates and times. You can show the relevant date. So if you don't want to see the actual date time format that's up here, you can turn this one on, and then you'll just see like in 3 days, in a month ago, etc. You can hide the card display dates. You can hide the dates in the title. You can link dates to a daily note. So if you put a date in there, it will create a link. When archiving your cards, you can prepend a date and time. Then you can go ahead and put in a separator. You can set the format for that archive date. And you can also set the first day of the week here. Mine is, I always like to set the first day of the week for me as Monday. So we'll go ahead and change that one. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of the different settings that are in here, let's go and create an actual Kanban board, create some lists and some cards. Okay, so while we're on the initial page here, there are a few different ways that we can create a Kanban board. One is that we can bring up the command window, type in Kan, and we get the option here to create a new Kanban board. The other is that we can go to the hotkeys, and we can set these hotkeys here to be whatever we want to that doesn't conflict with anything else. And we can create a new board from whatever hotkey that we set. One other option is that we can create a folder, or if you have a folder that's already there, then we can right click on that folder and we can do new Kanban board from here. So we'll go ahead and create a new Kanban board. We extend that folder out. We can see it created the untitled Kanban. And it also popped up a little window here that we can easily start creating our list. We can also see at the top row here the different options that we saw in the settings. We can turn these on and off. So we can either add a list, we can archive any completed cards, we can open the actual board here as Markdown. We can do a search, and then we can quickly get to the board settings from here as well. Let's go ahead and create a couple lists in this Kanban board. We'll keep it simple, 1, 2, and 3. Create those, okay? And let's change the size here so we can see all 3 of them here. So typically the Kanban view here is used to create a flow. Here you can see I have 3 different lists. 1, 2, 3 is how I title them. And traditionally, you're probably going to go from left to right in your progression of the workflow that you may want to have these in. You can also just create these as different buckets and create your tasks in these buckets and complete the task in each list that you have specifically designated for that task. There are a few different ways you can use these Kanban boards, but traditionally you will create a couple lists here and have a flow from left to right, and then you can have your different tasks. We'll create a few of them here. And then these tasks will be progressed throughout the workflow that you have here from left to right. So you can see how we can easily move these around. You can also reorganize these within the actual list itself. You can also rearrange the list order just by dragging and dropping it around. Each list has its more options, so you can edit the list. We can edit the name here. We can archive any cards that are in the list. We can insert a new list either before or after this one. So if we click before, you can see we get the option to create one before. We can archive this list, and we can also delete this list. So we'll delete that one. We'll insert one behind here. We will archive this one. You can see how those disappear. Each card also has more options, so you can edit the card from here. We can create a note from this card, and if we create a note, it will leave a link from this card to that note. We can copy the link. We can duplicate the card, insert cards before and after, archive, delete, and we can also add a date from here as well. So let's first go in and edit these lists, and let's change them to something that might be a bit more suitable for a workflow. So we'll keep these simple, not started, and complete is what we'll do for the last one. Okay, and for the task, we'll go ahead and edit those to something. Let me see. Do create outline. Create video. And upload video. So we'll leave these 3 here. And let's go through some of the options that we can do here. So we can go ahead and put a date on when we want these to be done. We can leave this to be today. We can see how it appends the date here to the bottom. you can come in here and you can edit. And as you edit, you can see what that format looks like. If you want to put a time, you can go ahead and do the double @ sign. And you get this menu of times or list of times that pops up for you that you can easily go ahead and select that, and it finishes the code that it needs for that there. And also, while we're in here, I mentioned before that if you want to create a new line, you have to do Shift and Enter. So if I just hit Enter, we can see that it just completes the card and assumes that we're done with it, right? So everything that we edited is complete and is out of that edit mode. But if we want to do a new line, we'd have to do Shift and then Enter. We can see how it did go to the next line on there. And let's just do a new line. And if we want to put that down at a new line there, we'll do that. We'll hit Enter. And now we can see how it's formatted. One thing that I did note in here is that you cannot put anything in the beginning of the date. So if we put the date here right behind the new line and hit Enter, it always moves that date down below at the bottom here. So it would be nice maybe to have the option to be able to label what this date is. Is this the created date? Is it the finished date, or what? So the assumption is that this is when you want to do or start working on this here. But again, it would be nice to be able to label this is the start date or this is the end date that we want to have this completed. Also, you can click on the dates here. You can see how they do come up with the little hints that pop up here. You can change these if you need to. Makes life a lot easier. So that's a nice usability feature of the plugin. And we can take this here and we can move this from not started to started. And then we have this one list here that shows complete. What we want to do here is also edit this list so that we mark anything that goes into this list as completed. So now that that's done, let's go ahead and hit Enter. And so let's go ahead and enable the mark cards in this list as completed. And then we'll go ahead and hit Enter. So we'll move this create outline. We're done with it. We put it over here. You can see that it puts a little icon next to it. And this is the archive card. Basically, it's just a quick way to archive this card. You can also go into here and you can do the same thing. You do get some additional options when you're in here than we did before, because we have the dates added in here. So we can edit, remove the date or the time. But if we want to quickly archive this card, we can. Now we can also see that we have the setting to mark these as complete when they're here, but it doesn't really show anything that makes you think that this is complete as compared to any of these other cards. They basically look the same. So let's go into the settings, and what we will do is go to the display card checkbox. We'll go ahead and enable that. And now we can see that there's a checkbox here that indicates that this particular card has been completed. We can go ahead and move that out, and you can see it opens back up. And if we want to complete it, we can still manually do that anywhere in the Kanban board. We can also go into the settings and change the way the date looks here. So if we go into the settings again, let's scroll down to the bottom. So we have the date display format here. We have, okay, so show relative date. Let's go ahead and turn that on and see how things change. Okay, so we went and changed this here. We have the date that still shows up, but now we have a relative time of when this is actually going to hit, right? So 7 hours ago is what I have here. So this is in the past when it was supposed to be completed. Let's go ahead and change this here, and we will put this at 2:00 p.m. instead of a.m. and we can see that now it's in 5 hours that has changed. We can change the date, and it's not taking the change. Not sure why that's not working, but we can go ahead and edit. Come into the file, we'll do 1, then we'll hit enter, and now we can see in a day. So maybe this is a bug where it's not letting me change this here. Another thing that we can do here is we can have this date linked to your daily note. So if we go into the settings, we'll scroll all the way down, and we want to go to the option here where it says link dates to daily note. We'll go ahead and select that, and what it does is give you a quick link to where you can go ahead and go to your daily note. If there is none, it will create it for you, as we can see it did here. And really it's just that simple. So let's go ahead and close out of that. Let's go back to this Kanban board, and let's see what else we can do here. So, and if we go to the more options, we can create a new note from this card. Let's go ahead and click that. It nicely opens up right on the side of the Kanban board a new note that links to this card. So in here you can then start typing whatever you want to. Go ahead and close it, and if you want to get to more information about this card, you can go ahead and get to that note. One other thing about the board is that we can get to open this Markdown or open this Kanban board as Markdown. I want to do a couple things here first. So let's go ahead and archive this one card here. And now that we've archived that, you can notice on the board that you do not have a place where you can see what was archived. So if you want to see the cards that have been archived, you will need to open the Markdown file. We open this up. We can see the raw Markdown for this. And we can see how we have the different lists that we have in that board labeled here as headings. And then we have the card underneath those headings. We have completed, there's nothing there, and we have our archive heading, and this shows the actual task or card of the one that we archived just previously here. Now we can also change this so that there's a date put on the archive. So if we go into here, one quick way to get back to the Kanban board is to click the more options, open as Kanban board, and then we can get to the board settings from here. If we scroll all the way down to the bottom, we can go ahead and add date and time to archive cards. We can go ahead and do this. And if we open this as Markdown, we can see that one previously archived cards will not be labeled. So we can just as easily cut that out of there, create a new card here. We can go back into this as a Kanban board, and we can see that we have the the card that we just moved over from the archive in the not started list. Now, if we go ahead and we archive that, go back into the Markdown, we can see here that it archived and it prepended the date and time that we archived it. Okay, so we're on the plugins GitHub page, and if you go through this there, you can take a look at whatever you like to for this plugin, either the code or the roadmap, any of the bug issues that are out here. It was last updated You see 25 days ago. So it is a pretty active project. Matthew Myers is the developer here. And if we scroll through, we do get a lot of documentation on how to use the plugin. One thing I did see here is that, let's go ahead and click on one of these pages here. It goes out to his website, and it does show up as not secure here. So Matthew, not sure if you even watched these videos, but these instructional pages for this plugin, the links are all in HTTP instead of HTTPS. I did check the website, and it does support the HTTPS. It's just that all the links are HTTP, and the site does not enforce you going to HTTPS. So maybe this is just one thing that can be changed to ease people's mind about security on these pages. This is a really awesome plugin. I think the developer did a really good job on this plugin. And we can see that on his GitHub page that there is a roadmap, and it looks like he's going to further develop this thing out to add more functionality and just refine it overall. So if you want to support this developer for this plugin, you can go ahead and buy him a coffee. I will actually go ahead and buy him a coffee right now. All right, Matthew Myers, thank you for your support. Great plugin. Keep up the good work. All right, so that was it for the Obsidian Kanban plugin. If you like the content, go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to further support the channel, you can go ahead and buy me a coffee. The link is in the description below. Other than that, that's it for this video. And until the next time, have a nice day.